November 22nd, 1991, a baby girl was born in exile, Bukavu, Congo. It wasn't easy from day one, but she was born with a mark from heaven to live. Later in 1994, the selfless Heavy Samaritans, the RPF, offered themselves as a sacrifice and genocide was stopped. This little family returned home alongside others. Kigali was a ghost town, dirty, scary and empty, but this was where we had to start life afresh, with nothing but grieving for the loss of our loved ones. A lot happened, but families were very excited to be home again and enjoy peace and freedom. At that moment, there was no opportunity to risk. Every risk could be taken to make sure the foundation of hope and life was laid. Because of life's demands, the parents of this little girl left her with the auntie to go and start a new life up country. But things did not go well. Something happened, something terrible and hard to tell. This happy family never knew there was a monster among them. The uncle to this little girl sexually abused her. Not once or twice, it was a norm. This was a secret to keep and it would cost her life if she ever breathed it to her soul. As if it wasn't enough, this monster had a nephew, an adult. He also reciprocated his uncle's actions. I will never forget one dark night after my uncle's assault. His nephew dragged me into his room and did the unthinkable. All of this had swelled up in me, but I could not cry. I was not allowed to. I had no choice. The pain was uncontrollable. I didn't know what life was. Everyone believed everything was okay and that I was different from other kids because of my melancholic character. My mother always visited. I cried every time and begged her to take me home, but she never understood why. She thought it was childish to leave a good school. All I wanted was to escape that gruesome life. She always shared with them how badly I wanted to go home, and my uncle could put more focus and effort on daily punishments to make me understand the cost of sharing his dirty secret. He threatened me to death, but I didn't know what death was at that age. He gave me a glimpse of it, with serious beatings on several occasions, for minor errors any child can do. One day I waited on my bed and he made me drink urine from the cement, banging my head down with his adult hands. I needed someone to deliver me, or someone to say sorry, or even to explain to me what life is. I thought my parents loved me, but I couldn't see their love in that season. They had everything I needed, but it was of no value. At that time, I needed someone to rescue me. Hope grew mad at me when an angel appeared, a loving maid. Joined us. All her family perished in the genocide, and she was also sexually assaulted by Interahamwe, contracting the HIV virus. Regardless, she came to my rescue. I didn't have to say much. Our pain connected and she fought for me. She loved, protected, understood, guided, and listened, treated me like her own daughter. She taught me how to pray and seek comfort from God. I started to change for better. She has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. She got me right back to a child. I definitely got the right support. She was so amazing. The only person who never judged, blamed me of my conduct, but loved me unconditionally. So unlike any of the others had ever dealt with, but she went early. I was not ready for that. She was no longer with me. The wound aggravated. This was so disappointing. The loss of the one and the only person I found hope in, Marcella. She passed on without even saying any single word. She went. I didn't even bury her. I grieved in vain, only to wait for my own physical death because my soul was no more. I couldn't push any longer. It became more than a burden to my parents who never knew how to help me. They didn't know. They thought everything was okay. They gave me more than I needed, but I was never satisfied, never grateful, never happy, only complaining, crying, and alone.
Follow us on our social media platforms and watch out for more on our next episode.